What is up, guys? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. It's good to see you. Michelle, what's up?
Hey, it's another beautiful summer day in Park City and my first day back from
Michelle's
vacation. So I'm pretty excited.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, you are in a beautiful area. I'm actually, I was on a podcast this morning and the guy said, "Where are you heaven?" And I said, "No, it's Iowa. I'm in Iowa. We're using Field of Dreams all week this week. So that's what we're doing. So
Oh my
I'm in
God.
central Iowa, just south of Des Moines, like 45 minutes or so. So all right, so we got a great webcast for you guys today. Why don't you do me and Michelle a favor? Michelle is in Park City, Utah. I'm in Knoxville, Iowa. Why don't you put in the chat where you guys are joining us from today? That would be awesome, so we can kind of get a good group of people from the room. It'd be good to see you guys and see where you're all calling from. Michelle, what are we going to? I got my slides ready to share here. Any highlights we want to give everybody while we getting everybody in here?
Yeah, so I think what's really important about today's training and webinar is how to prevent the most common mistakes that every single business owner makes, actually, regardless of industry, when hiring your first sales professional to help you in your business, your closer, your salesperson who's going to help you, of course, grow your MSP. It's really easy to make these mistakes. And so we're just going to save people a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of stress. So just make sure that you are listening, paying attention, taking notes. And if you already have a salesperson that's in your business, but something feels off, you're totally going to benefit from today as well. So stick around.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that I'm going to say out of the box, I have a lot of experience with this on the MSP side because I was the founder-led sales model for, I don't know, probably 10 to 12 years before I started hiring other people on my team. And now I'm, full blown. I do no actual front level sales, but we manage. So it's kind of like taking up that next level. And Michelle runs our whole sales team here at Seven Figures. So it's a really good 1-2 punch for you guys. And if you're watching live with us, we'd love to see you. Please comment, please participate. If you're watching on the recording, pay attention, pause, take notes, do the right things. You guys that are with us live, please go back and watch the recording because it's a lot of stuff that Michelle and I are going to talk about today. I'm going to kind of set the stage with kind of the MSP space and where we're sitting. And then we're going to come back in a few minutes. Michelle's going to present and we're going to talk about all the details on hiring your first salesperson. So I'm going to share my screen. We good, Michelle? Can you see everything? We good to go? Oh, and by the way, I am, what's pretty cool, actually, really quick before we get started, what's pretty cool about my background here that I'm working on is I have like a weird kind of like behind me retro look. I'm actually sitting in a car shop.
Oh, that's cool.
Old school cars and stuff. It's kind of fun at my friend Alex's house in Iowa. So the true work from anywhere mindset. Got webinars, you got stuff going on. You got to do what you got to do. So it is what it is. So, all right. Share my screen here. Get all my stuff rolling. Let me just get that up here. Okay. So if you guys don't know who I am, and Michelle, you want to man the chat for me as we go here?
Yes.
If we got any questions, don't hesitate to chime in as we go here, and then we're just limited on screens and all the different stuff we got going on here. So, okay. So a couple things for you guys out of the box. First of all, my promise to you, Michelle and I are going to show you how to hire your first or maybe your next MSP salesperson. And what's key about this, and I have a lot of personal failures around this whole thing, making sure that you know how to manage these people, because one of the big things I see the MSP owner do is they're like, I want to do tech, do sales, plop. And they just plop somebody in that role and expect them to excel. Still your show. They have to be managed. And it's really, really important. It doesn't necessarily have to be you that manages it. Case in point, I don't necessarily manage it anymore. I have a head of revenue, but you have to empower that person to do their job. You have to do all this other stuff. And then you have to kind of let them cook. That's what's really key about this, right? So we're going to be sharing real skills, real strategy today that we are using. And then we're also training our 7-figure MSP elite members on how to use as well. That'll help you to build and then build your own sales team out of the box. So get ready to take notes, take action. We've got a couple prizes for you guys today. Now there's a couple keys with this. We've definitely been seeing the bots and the scammers ramping up. Michelle, you and I were talking about that this morning. How we're seeing bots and scammers kind of ramping up on the backside. So we are going to give prizes away today. One winner is going to get a $100 Amazon gift card, and a second winner is going to get a $75 Amazon gift card. But you have to be qualified, you have to be real, and you have to be willing to prove that you are an MSP. Because we've had a bunch recently that's been kind of weird stuff, wonky stuff, Chat GPT generated things, bots, AI guys, all kinds of different stuff. Also, we're going to be giving this away between halfway and 3/4 away to the end. So you have to stay here, and you have to participate as we go. which brings me to the please pay attention piece. That means no tickets, no client calls, no distractions. I know this stuff's hard. I know you got a lot of stuff going on in your life, in your business. You're maybe a single or a 2 or 3 person MSP, but if you're serious about changing your life, please pay attention to what we're talking about. These things all matter, and they all make a big difference. And it's important. Kind of the rule of thumb that I have around this is how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you can't commit to this, how can you commit to yourself? And if you can't hold yourself accountable to watch a 1 hour or 1.5 hour webinar, how are you going to hold yourself accountable to do all this other stuff as well? You're probably not. So be honest with yourself, hold yourself accountable, and let's go. We have coming up literally next week. This is probably a little bit too late for you guys, but if you're in the Denver area or if you're bored and want to come up there next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, August 13th, 14th, 15th, we will be in Denver, Colorado at the Brown Palace. This is an amazing venue, an amazing event. Our Mile High MRR Q3 Double Your MRR live training event. We have me, Michelle, Mr. Penn Gillette is going to be there from Penn and Teller. We got Cindy Phillips, we got Lindsay Badillo, Ryan O'Hara. All of our sponsors and vendor partners are all going to be there. So we'd love to have you. You can still go to that. Michelle, you want to drop a 7figuremspevents.com URL in there for me?
Yeah, and also you can grab your virtual ticket as well if you cannot get there and you still want to stream in. So I think that's an important thing that we bring up since we're getting pretty close to the date.
Yep, absolutely. So Mile High MRR next week at 7figuremspevents.com. We'd love to see you live or on the virtual ticket. I totally forgot about the virtual ticket, so thank you for throwing that in there. If you can't come to either of those or can't watch that, you should be able to have time to even watch. We're 3 full days next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have our Q4 event coming up. That's going to be basically opened up live next week as we're in Denver. Our San Antonio event is October 22nd, 23rd, 24th. We got some amazing stuff there. Our keynote speaker for that event is Mr. Dan Martell from the book Buy Back Your Time. So really, he's going to be doing a full workshop. Super excited about him. He just started following me on TikTok literally yesterday, Michelle. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's exciting.
And I don't even put anything on TikTok, so I don't even know. I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't gotten that far. But Dan started following me on TikTok, so that's kind of cool. But that is going to be our next event.
He's preparing for San Antonio. Let's know what you're talking about.
I love it. I love it. If you guys notice the difference here, actually, we kind of don't put that in here, but the mindset of our Mile High MRR event is all about scaling your operations, scaling your MSP business, whereas Q4 is called Mindset Reset. So it's about helping you as a business owner. And this is going to be literally, it's kind of be the Chris and Michelle show there in Q4, because we are very much mindset people. We're focused on sales. We're focused on cash flow. We're focused on revenue, all these different things to help get your brain right. Also going to have Dan Martell there, going to be talking about buying your time back, all these different things. So please try and make it to one of our live events. If you cannot make it, please come virtually. We would love to have you. It's awesome stuff. Michelle, throw that in the link or threw that in the chat for you guys at 7figuremspevents.com. So you heard me mention some of our coaches. There's a couple of different people that we have on the team. Michelle is actually not a coach. She's, she kind of is on the outside because we do this kind of stuff all the time, but she's coaching our internal team, running sales internally, doing all these different things. This is our public facing MSP coaching team. You got me. We have Cindy Phillips, who's our VP of sales coaching. We have Lindsay Badillo, who's our VP of marketing coaching. And we have Ryan O'Hara, who's our VP of member services. So this whole team here, and then we're expanding this all the time. This team runs the run your play side of 7-figure MSP, helping you guys double your cash flow, double your revenue, getting your higher ticket items in place, going back and operationalizing and focusing on the marketing side of your business. These are our internal coaches. So please pay attention to them when they're speaking. We got some amazing stuff, and we do webinars. All of us do webinars every single quarter. So please pay attention to all that. I usually am on, but I don't do a whole lot of coaching anymore, which you're going to actually get a little bit of dose of right now. So, Michelle, before I get rolling after that, anything else we want to talk about here? Anything from the comments, any chat?
Nope, but we've got people excited in the chat. We've got Seattle, we have San Juan, Johannesburg, South Africa, New Jersey, Chicagoland, everywhere. So I always love it. What a global pull we have. I think it's so fun to see. So I'm excited to jump in.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, guys, I'm going to get rolling into my side of this, and then we're going to bring back Michelle in a few minutes here. And Michelle, just make sure you got your slides ready when you're ready to go here. She's going to add them to the bottom. We're in StreamYard, so it's a little bit different than just like Zoom sharing your screen and all that. We got a lot of stuff rolling around. So I'm going to get rolling. So you heard me mention earlier about doubling your MRR, doubling your cash flow. That's one of the things that Seven-Figure MSP talks about a lot. And I actually did a podcast recording with Kevin Lancaster from Channel Program literally this morning. And one of the things that we were talking about, and it's very interesting because Kevin and I have never actually talked about that personally, but our views on this whole thing were so aligned. It was really, really cool. And if you guys don't know who Kevin is, Kevin was the founder of ID Agent, which was a phishing dark web firm for a while that got acquired a few years ago. And they have since, him and Matt Solomon have partnered on a company called Channel Program. And it was very interesting to hear Kevin's mindset around this. And I said out loud on the podcast that I believe this is the best opportunity, the best time that the MSP industry has ever seen. And he's like, oh my word, you are so accurate. You're so right, because there's so much money to be made, because the bottom line is things have changed. When I talk about that, what does that mean? Things have changed. And I want you guys to really take this to heart and really understand how big of a deal this is. So think about the mindset of your decision maker at your number one client, or maybe your top 5 clients, or, depending on what you have, but your client base overall. How do they think about technology? What do they think an MSP is for? What do they think an IT company is for? For the most part, they've thought of the MSP industry as, and they don't necessarily know MSPs, but they see you as their computer person, as their IT person, their IT shop, or helper guy, or whatever. There's all those different ones out there, right? But they see IT or MSP or whatever we service with them as people that install things when I need them new installed, and I need things fixed, technology related, as fast as possible. And that's really, for the most part, where most of your clients stop. That's their mindset around it all. So they see that whole thing as a commodity that they only pay X for, and they maybe have to deal with, or maybe they can penny pinch around it. They can make it as cheap as possible because it's just a cost, and costs are a nuisance, and they don't have to deal with it. But in reality, you think about where we sit. Businesses are not prepared for today's market. When I say that, what am I talking about? They're not prepared. The bottom line is your clients are going to get hacked. They don't understand. Now, I understand we're probably moving further down the line. It's getting a little bit better. They're understanding more. But still, for the most part, when it comes down to signing on the bottom line for I'm going to spend more money on IT, they don't get it. They don't realize this until it's maybe too late most of the time, because they still treat IT support like a bargain basement service. This is something I can go cheap on. I don't have to worry about doing this higher level stuff, because even if I have my IT guy, he'll just fix it, or I'm covered. I got it. My stuff's in the cloud. How many times, you guys think about this that are paying attention to this? How many times have we heard a medical client or a dental client or a legal client saying, oh, my stuff's in the cloud, I'm fine, I'm good? They don't understand that the stuff's all in. They don't get it. They don't understand cybersecurity, because your clients fully believe and they think you are doing everything they need for cybersecurity. They don't see the difference. So how do we convey a difference to them? First of all, we have to educate them like crazy. You have to eat, sleep, breathe cybersecurity. You have to eat, sleep, breathe tech, but not just tech. It's got to be the security focused. You're going to get hacked side of it. So you have to sell. Oops, I clicked a couple buttons there. You have to sell and lead with cybersecurity. So your entire message in your MSP has to completely change. It can't be, we are your break fix IT shop. It can't be, we manage your IT so you can manage your business. It has to be, you're going to get hacked. What's your plan? You're going to get hacked with me. How are you going to recover? There's no IT guy in the world that can stop all the hacks. What's your plan when you have a breach? That's the kind of language you need. And I'm probably being a little extreme there, but that's the kind of language and the kind of culture you have to have around cybersecurity and hacking and making sure your clients get it. It's kind of like right now what the MSP is kind of doing is we're kind of letting our teenagers drive around on the street with no seatbelt and no speed limit. Not everybody's going to get in a crash. Yeah, and what was that? I didn't hear all that.
I said, sounds fun. I'm just kidding.
Well, it sounds super fun until the bad stuff happens, right? So not everybody's going to get in an accident. Not everybody's going to have a problem. But I'll tell you what, when the accidents happen with no seatbelt and no speed limit, probably not going to be real pretty, right? I want you guys to think about that. Kind of a little rough analogy, but it kind of works, actually. I like it. And so it's really important that you lead and actively sell. When I say lead, it's got to be the first thing you're talking about when you get up in the morning. It's got to be the last thing you talk about when you're going to bed. Every single client should understand they're going to get hacked, breached, compromised because they have a piece of software you can't control. I don't care who you are, can't control that piece of software. You know what it is? Michelle, do you know the answer to that question? We've never talked about this. That piece of software that piece of software that every single business has that they can't control.
People.
Good job for a non-cybersecurity girl.
Do.
That is nailed. Absolutely spot on. They can't control the people. People get social engineering. Where do the hackers start? They all start that. So how do you as the MSP solve this? Now, this is a small taste of what we do inside of our elite coaching program, but I want you to think of everything I'm going to tell you right now and then put it on severe steroids, and that's what we give you, okay? So first of all, no more good, better, or best. Now, I understand you're going to have clients that can't afford everything you do. So we basically have two factors now. And I want you to think of it this way. When you walk into every client, I want you to think this way. If you had unlimited budget at every single client, how would we support them? A good, a better, or a best? Every IT person in the world is like, well, I'd put in the best. So why have we been allowing good and better? Well, the client doesn't want to pay that. That's fine. I'm still fine with all of that, but it is our job now to put the best out there. Here's what you should have, Mr. Client. First of all, actually, we lead with cybersecurity. We lead with education. We lead with all these things, showing them all the stuff they should be doing, making sure they understand. And then we say, here's what our plan offers. All these services. Do you agree that you should have that? Yes. Do you agree that in all cases of the world, I understand we maybe didn't have the money before, but we should budget for this? Yes, we understand that. Okay, then let's move down that path and getting them to understand that. That is our job as salespeople now. So one plan, full stack. Now, I understand, like I said, not everybody can afford this. Not everybody budgets for this. Not everybody understands it. So we offer the best and let them sign off on having less. So when you have a breach, Mr. Client, you can sit there as the MSP and be like, guys, I told you so. I'm not going to be held liable. I'm also not going to be the guy holding the bag to pay the cleanup bill, because that's the other big factors. Because think about this. Who's going to pick up the pieces? You. Who's going to pay for that? Most MSP clients are just going to assume it's covered. We have to state that it's not covered. So one plan, offer that best plan, and let them scale you back if they have to. But you should go in with the mindset of, we have one plan now. Everything else is not there. I'm never going to tell you to walk away from cash. I'm never going to tell you to walk away from money, but I'm going to tell you to control your liability. And that's what's really key about this. So you go in the door with a very set plan, and then we back down if we have to, making the client responsible. Because why one stack? Period. Liability. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you think supply chain hacks, you think about these other things down the pipe, you think about what happens when a client gets hit, and let's say $1 million is gone, $200,000 is gone, $50,000 is gone. They're going to expect somebody, that money just doesn't vanish and then goes nowhere. We saw a company a couple of weeks ago lose their entire payroll bank account. It was in the millions. What happens? They're going to try and file an insurance claim. Oh, that's why we have insurance. What happens if the insurance company comes back and they're like, well, you should have been doing this, this, and this? That's the stuff you got to protect yourself on, right? Those protections are really key. because how will you or your clients refute that charge of gross negligence? If you think about the medical industry, this is exactly why they have malpractice insurance. Also the legal industry, why they have malpractice insurance. It's called gross negligence in IT business land. So you got to be careful on this. And this helps you to put a wedge in between you and your client's previous scenarios. Second, on top of that, you absolutely have to do a client discovery risk assessment. We call that a CSRA, a client cybersecurity risk assessment, CSRA. Really, really mission critical. This should happen for every existing client, every quarter. This should happen for every new prospect in a paid professional services engagement. This is mission critical. No allowances out of this, period. So why would we say that we want to put a full risk assessment in play? Now, obviously, we want to do everything we always did with gathering data, pain points, and tech issues. That is key. And I agree that that's basically what we did before. Maybe find some pain, discover some emotional ties. But here's some really big factors that I want you to be aware of. First of all, we have to know their network better than the hackers. There's no 30-minute quickie scan that is going to go out there and give you the kind of data that you should have that's going to allow you to have this. It just doesn't happen. Most of these hacks are sitting resident for weeks or months before they even move towards compromise. So you have to do that. And then really importantly, and probably the most important thing on this whole thing, is you have to show your prospect and your existing client as you're doing your quarterly business reviews what a hack will really do. They have to understand how severe this is. Michelle, I talk about all the time when I do these webinars and my talks. You and I are similar in age. We remember when we were kids. I don't know if they still do this or not. I hope they do. But remember when we used to do the fire drills in school? Like middle school, we used to do the fire drills, and they'd pull the alarm. And it was like in my school when I was a middle schooler, it was like, and everybody'd run outside, and we'd all follow our whole evacuation thing. And I know we got some of our staff in the middle of this hurricane that's going on right now. They had to do evacuation drills and all these things as well this week. But they didn't do that because they really didn't think that people could evacuate that well. It was to get the mental picture in your head of what the whole incident looks like so people don't panic under pressure. And that's the big factor of it. It's making sure that they understand what that is.
Yeah, we did earthquake drills because I grew up in California. So we had to practice what to do with earthquakes. That was actually more common than the fire drill one. And for that exact same reason.
I've actually never been in an earthquake.
Oh, I've been in a ton. They're interesting.
I've never even felt that whole thing rumble deal. But anyway, as Michelle and Chris talk about earthquakes and tornadoes today. But you guys get the mindset of what we're talking about. That's the whole key here. So I got a little deliverable for you guys off today's webcast. This is our 7-figure MSP run the play worksheet. Now, when we say run the play, what we do in this deal, that's going through the entire 7-figure MSP process, top to bottom. So in this case here, you'd go through and you see step 1, list all accounts that have paid you money in the last 12 months, rank that. Then we do a cybersecurity risk assessment on them. Present, build a presentation. Now in our elite program, we have a full sales presentation. We have this entire sales process. All these things are done for you. I shouldn't say done for you. All the proposals and PowerPoint presentations and all that are there as templates. And then we teach you how to present them the right way. That's what's key about this. And then you go in and put this in play by presenting your whole risk findings. What's key about the risk findings, I'm going to back up one thing here. What's key about the risk findings is making sure that you speak in a language that they can understand. Now, you don't want to talk super techie. What's really key, think about your previous maybe network assessment or even walkthrough. What are we presenting? How big their hard drives are, how full their hard drives are, what their patch status is, how many programs they have that need patching. These are the things that MSPs oftentimes would put in there, or maybe when their last backups were, what their cloud status looks like, all these things that are really irrelevant. Now, I understand they're important. But does any of that stuff move the needle for the decision maker towards making them understand risk and what's going to happen when they have a breach? I'm going to go back a couple of slides, and I want you to be very conscious of those last 2 dots. Knowing their network better when the hackers do, and then showing them what a hack actually will do to their network. Remember that fire drill or that earthquake drill that Michelle was talking about? These are the things that you have to do to put in front of your prospects and your decision makers to make sure they understand. There is zero amount of tech that is going to make that work. They don't care. They don't even need to know. That's like going and getting your oil change and them telling you, how many cc your engine's cylinders are. Like, it doesn't matter to you. Just change the damn oil. That's all you really care about. Just get it done. That's the stuff that makes a difference. So you highlight your pain points that you found, create emotion and need, and you have to turn on what we call the risk light bulb. They have to get it. The decision maker sitting across that table they have to be able to say in their head, holy crap. So we're going to get hacked, and we have to be able to recover, and we have to get somebody else to pay the bill. They have to get that. And if they don't get that, you're never going to get real far with them. Now, again, I'm not going to tell you everybody's going to do that, but the better you get at sales, the better you get at converting these mindset ideas to them and turning on that risk light bulb, the more you're going to eliminate price objection. This is also going to allow you to raise your prices over time. We recommend an 80% gross profit margin on an all-inclusive, full stack suite product. I want you to be very conscious of that. That's around, depending on the market you're in, I'm going to give you a baseline starting point, $300 in your currency per seat per month on a 36-month agreement is what we recommend you start at. Now, what's a seat? Laptop. I got an iPhone right here. I got a tablet. That's a seat for a human being. We manage that whole seat, everything all inclusive. We manage it. What should they have? Let's go back to good, better, best. They should have the best. Not what's in the stack. Kevin Lancaster, I was talking about him this morning as well. He told me today he is aware of about 30 different full stack options right now with smattering of solutions, smattering of vendors. There's more than one way to make your chocolate cake recipe, but it's various different vendors. Bottom line covering basic managed services, basic cybersecurity, all-inclusive help desk, all-inclusive on-site labor, all is one flat rate deal, around $300 per seat on an 80% gross profit margin should be your goal. That's best in class. Okay. I know we're probably gonna have some questions on the stack. More than willing to answer that in the chat as Michelle presents, but let's start to hear from Michelle. And Michelle, I'm going to throw your stuff on stage. Look at that. That was so seamless. Great job. I love it.
Yay.
And if you have any questions related to the stack, I'm going to be managing the chat here. I'm going to answer a couple quick questions, Michelle, just to get this. Really like this question. Josh said, full, do you include projects? Here's how I include projects. Everything existing, sure. Anything net new, brand new MRR. So let's say they want to put a new server in. It's not new. Let's say they want to replace an existing server. That's not new. They want to put a new server in. That is net new. I said not new or net new. That's confusing. But those things are really key. So think of it that way. Common sense applies. Simple is key. Okay. I had no problems with this over time. Bottom line is everything that is net new should have a long-term agreement tied to it. Long-term recurring revenue, cash flow, MRR, monthly recurring revenue. It's key. Put everything on a term agreement. Michelle, how do we sell our businesses when we're ready? Everything long-term recurring revenue, right?
Yes, 100%. MRR is so important. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
No, it's good. It's okay. That's fine. That's how that's double person webinars. You just talk over each other all the time. One last question from Josh. How do you count users? That seat is a user, and I don't call it an endpoint because technically this is an endpoint, right? Laptop's an endpoint, tablet's an endpoint. I like a seat for a human being. This is their stuff, right? So, and for the most part, my phone and my tablet, I have an iPad Pro, and my workstation are about the same to manage, even though I know they're 3 endpoints, but they're about the same to manage. So that's how I count it. It's still a single user. And then I also count servers, things that I have to manage as endpoints, as seats. So common sense applies. Simple is key, and present it as a single flat rate deal. How you calculate it really doesn't matter. So don't and part of the challenge with this whole thing, Michelle, I know you don't come from the MSP industry, but part of the challenge from MSP land is all the vendors count every single thing as an endpoint. So it gets confusing but I try and make it so it's simple and then present it as a single flat rate to the prospect or the client. And a good rule of thumb is the confused mind doesn't act.
Yep.
So they have to get it. and it has to be super clear, because if they're confused and they're like, if they got to do that once, like you're done, probably more than likely, right? So you want it to be super simple for them and they have to get it. Part-time and seasonal. Here's what I'll tell you on that, Josh. That's pretty damn rare. Out of all my clients, I had like 90 clients in my MSP. I think we had one guy that was part-time and seasonal. Then we make it work for them. Don't worry about don't worry about anomalies to apply to your standard. Just make a standard, make it apply to 95% of your clients, and then deal with the anomaly when it comes up. But don't worry about that, in my opinion. It's not going to make, and if you got to work on it, you work on it. You can move it up and down as you go if you have to. Doesn't matter. Okay, Michelle, I'm going to let you keep going. Josh, hammer away with questions. If you got it, I'll answer it in the chat. Michelle, I'm going to turn off my video for 1 second because I have to go to the restroom, but I'll be right back.
All right, awesome. Okay, hello everyone. As Chris mentioned, my name is Michelle Terpstra, and I am the Chief Revenue Officer at Seven Figure MSP. And so I'm here today to share with you the best practices of starting to create your sales team. What I would love to know in the chat right now is that if it's on I'm curious if you're ready to hire in the next 90 days. I would love to know in the chat right now. So Chris will be managing the chat and sharing it here for us, but get those comments going here quickly. I would love to know if this is something that you are planning in the next 90 days. Now, if you're not planning it in the next 90 days, I would love to know what's on your mind right now that motivated you to join a webinar about hiring for a salesperson. Really super curious. I love to know what's on people's minds and, how we can support you. If it's slightly off topic, I can absolutely integrate it into my presentation. So it's really important that you share those things in the chat. All right, let's go ahead and rock and roll. Okay, so the first thing is it's really important that we talk about what a closer is for today's training. Now, if you've been around the seven-figure MSP world for a while, you'll know that we rotate on our sales webinars and our marketing webinars. And our VP of marketing coaching is Lindsay Badillo, and we're going to be talking about the closers, the person who takes the appointment, the sales call, and closes the client today. If you're curious about how you can get that appointment booked and the type of sales role that does that, which we would call a dialer or an SDR or a BDR, then I really encourage you to go and catch one of Lindsay's recordings. Now, all of our recordings from all of our webinars are exclusively held inside our school community. So I have a couple of my team members in the chat here. If someone could please drop the school community into the chat, that would be amazing. If you're not part of that community yet, please get in there because that's where you're able to catch all of our recordings. Okay. So what does our closer do for our conversation today? Okay. So first of all, what closers do? What they do is they run your first time appointments. That's what we refer to as an FTA. They deliver your cybersecurity risk assessment results. If you remember from what Chris said a little earlier, is we aren't having techs deliver the assessment. We are having salespeople or yourself, the business owner, until you hire the salesperson, delivering the results, because that keeps us from talking about tech, and it keeps us in an active selling position. Okay, so that's what the closer can do. And then also the contract process. And there's a couple of more things, but as I'm going through this, I would love for you to do some mental calculations of how much time right now you spend doing all of these things and how powerful it is for your business scalability and your free time if you can get someone to take these things over for you. I would think that Chris would agree with me is that when you hire your first salesperson as a business owner and you're not having to actually do the sales and the selling anymore, it's a pretty happy day regardless of how much you love sales. Chris and I both love sales. However, we also really love our time and we want to be scaling our businesses and leading our teams, right? So it becomes this incredible gift once you're able to do this. What else can they do? They can do your QBR process. So our head of member services, VP of member services, Ryan, did a fantastic training about how to use your QBR process as a sales opportunity. So once again, if you have not checked out our school community, hopefully someone put that into the chat. If not, reminder to the team, please put our school community in the chat. That's where you're going to find those recordings. Every single interaction with a client or a prospect, I want you to put your sales hat on. And this applies, and a lot of what I'm going to speak to applies to you as the business owner, and then also when you hand it off to your sales team, because you have to master this and you have to prove your sales process works before anybody's going to come in and be able to help you. So they'll do moves, ads, changes, and also attend professional networking as time permits. And I'm willing to bet that if you added up all the time that you spend on all of these things right now, you should be salivating right now and pretty darn excited about hiring that first salesperson and the ability to hand this off. So if you're excited, let me know in the chat. I would love to hear if the time calculation alone is getting you excited about what this can do. Okay.
Yeah, hey, Michelle, one thing really quick. And one thing I want you guys to be aware of, I know Michelle's going to talk a little bit about this. And Michelle, I just want to plant this seed a little bit, that I think a lot of MSP owners think in their head, I'm going to hire a salesperson and I'm going to dump all lead gen on them. So I want this to be a very specific point that you guys think about. And I know Michelle's going to emphasize this, but I want it to be really, really clear what closers do not do, because there's a difference between a salesperson and a closer. And I think I want you to be very conscious of that.
100%. And like, it's almost like you knew what my next slide was going to be. What closers don't do. Oh, I don't think I could hear you if you were talking. I think there's a little bit of a lag either between me or you. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, there is a little bit, but it's fine. I'm just muting myself in between because I got some background noise, so that's why.
All right, awesome. So that's a great lead into to this slide that you see on the screen right now about what closers don't do. Now, let me tell you a little bit of a story. I didn't become a chief revenue officer by not pounding the pavement myself. So I went up through the ranks and started as an individual contributor, cold calling in a car, in a sales territory. And I will tell you, so much has changed. You know, I hate to date myself, but I will, in the last 20 years in sales. It's really interesting to me that, you know, the marketing departments have really beefed themselves up to give more opportunities to the sales professionals. Back in the day, I was never given a lead ever. Like, it was like, I don't know, go to the book of records of all the companies and go try to figure it out. Like, you were a hunter, you were a gatherer, you were a closer, you were all the things. And, you know, the evolution of what marketing departments have been able to do around different types of marketing initiatives, getting sales calls booked, booking appointment, all these things. I mean, I would have been 10 times more effective and successful had the company supported me in that way back then. And so I really like to share that perspective because I've been in it. I've seen it when someone's responsible for everything versus when someone is siloed and very specific role into where their strengths are. And I'm just encouraging you as you're listening to this to make sure not to blend the two roles, because that person will be less successful, which means your business will not scale the way that you want it to. So closers do not generate traffic or new leads. Okay. Minus the networking. Networking is great if they have time and they can do it, right? So that's like the one caveat. They shouldn't be making cold calls, sending emails, doing outreach, doing the email marketing, your social media marketing, or booking your first time appointments. That all should fall underneath the dialer role and your marketing department. So if you remember, I said a few slides ago, go check out one of Lindsay's webinars in our school community, and you'll be able to educate yourself even further on what this looks like for your business. You want your two departments to work super closely, but have very specific roles and KPIs so that you can control your scale. I mean, every single Monday I meet with my sales manager and we review all of the data from the previous week, and we break it down between, our SDRs and our closers, the show up rates, the close rates. And if was muddy, it would be very difficult to have a successful sales team. So just keep this in mind that these things need to be separate. And I'm really curious right now in the comment section right now, if you're a little bit surprised about this, or if this was like, yeah, duh, Michelle, of course they don't. So share your experience in the chat right now. I would love to hear about it. And Chris, if anything cool comes up in the chat that you want to share on the screen, let me know.
Yep, I got you.
Fun. All right. So the next thing is how do I know I'm ready to hire a closer for my MSP? So this is a really important piece of the puzzle. And the reason why I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this is that most MSP business owners, or really any business owner, regardless if you love sales or you don't, once you understand what a salesperson can do for you time-wise and scalability-wise and sales-wise, you might jump the gun. Right? And you don't want to jump the gun, because then you're going to have a sour taste in your mouth about what a salesperson can do for you and how one can help you. So it's really critical that you pay attention. And I'm about to share my key readiness areas for when you're ready to do this. Okay, so the number one thing is a scalable offer. And Chris already talked about getting rid of, the 3 options of a stack and just selling the best. That simplifies the sales process so much for your potential sales team that you're going to be hiring. So much easier to sell versus like all these custom proposals. They don't even know how much they can really get paid in commission because you haven't calculated the profit. You don't know how much you can pay them. Like, it gets really complicated. So if you set up like we're teaching you right now for that 80% gross profit margin off your stack of $300 per seat, it's really easy to decide how much to pay someone. They know how much they're going to pay and they can sell it faster. Occasionally, I jump on sales calls for 7-figure MSP so that I can understand and make sure that I'm on the pulse for what everybody needs in the organization. And I will never forget the phone call that I had, or the Teams meeting I had with this gentleman who was doing custom proposals for all of these different options inside his MSP. And he estimated he was spending about 15 hours a week doing proposals. 15 hours a week. I literally wanted to cry for him, because that is an insane amount of time just on that part of the sales cycle. And even worse is that he was preparing those proposals at the wrong stage of the sales process, where he wasn't even ready to do that because he was doing it so prematurely and the conversion rates were so low. Okay, so it is so incredibly critical that you have that best offer, you know the profit margin, and you're ready to go and sell it and keep it simple for your team to sell.
Hey, Michelle, can I just chime in on one thing? One thing on this, guys, that I want you to think about is this is also a massive evolution and change in how you believe in yourself as an MSP and as a sales company, because you should be positioning yourself. This is a non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned. You are the expert. You are walking in the door with the best solution. This is what you should have. This is why you should have this. I am the expert. This is what I'm telling you. If you don't like it, that's fine, but this is what it is. Think of all the other industries that we're in. We work with a CPA, we work with a lawyer, we work with a doctor, we work with any professional services engagement. We see them as an expert and we expect to get their expert opinion, not hem and haw over what the client thinks they can afford. So, number one, go in there with your single scalable offer, just like Michelle said. Be confident, believe in yourself as the expert, and deliver the right solution. And if they don't want it, that's fine. Maybe they're not a fit. But part of charging the right way is having enough cash flow and enough profit that you can afford to walk away from some deals that you don't want, not being desperate for everything.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about that.
Yeah. And I think that's really, really powerful. And just in my business experience, it's, it costs you a lot to sell something that you shouldn't be selling. And I want that to soak in for a second, because we get in a desperate zone sometimes, especially in challenging economies, where you're like, well, I'll sell it this way, or I'll sell it this way, or I'll make this accommodation. And if you just channeled that energy back to actually selling what makes you money, you're going to make more money. Like, you cannot dilute your efforts, and you need to stay strong and committed to what it is that you want in your business and your life. And every single time you veer, it's jeopardizing that opportunity. And I think you'd probably agree with me, Chris, on that one.
Yep, 100%.
All right. So the other thing is cheap sales people are a red flag. Okay. And we'll get into compensation, and I'm sure you're wondering. So hang tight. We're going to talk about this. But cheap salespeople are a red flag because it means they're typically not experienced enough. So they're just looking to get experience. 2, they might be doing several jobs, selling for several different types of businesses, or even similar businesses. And so they're willing to take, commission only or certain things like that. We as an organization do not do commission only. We believe in base salaries plus commission based on performance. We personally do a scalable model for our closers. And it's really important that you do that. And Chris and I are really aligned on this, is that cheap salespeople are a red flag, so just don't do it. Okay. And we'll get into what that looks like here in a few slides. The next thing is that, and this is arguably the most important piece of the puzzle, is a proven sales process. Closers, salespeople do not come in to create your sales process. This is by far the biggest mistake that I see, especially in the MSP marketplace. I have been shocked time and time again when I jump on these calls and they say, oh yeah, I hired this sales guy. So, I think that he'll just figure it out. He'll make it work. And I am literally, my stomach is turning knowing that they don't have a proven sales process, but they hired the salesperson. That is in the wrong order, friends. You absolutely have to have a proven sales process with expected KPIs that you've been able to meet yourself before handing it off to a salesperson. If you don't do this, you're going to lose an enormous amount of money. You're going to be frustrated and you're going to want to throw in the towel. I have literally seen it time and time again. And I can say it till I'm blue in the face. And some of you are going to listen to me and some of you aren't, but this is absolutely critical piece of the puzzle. Okay. And the other one,
Michelle, a couple quick things on that. The founder-led sales model is, you're probably always going to, I don't care if you don't think you're great at sales, you're probably always going to convert some of the best in your company because no one's you. You're always going to be the CEO, the owner, the founder, whatever you want to call yourself. And even if you're not great at sales, they can't match your passion. So more than likely, and you've honestly, if you've gotten to the point where you are ready to hire a salesperson, you've probably scrapped like crazy and turned into a little bit of a salesperson anyway, because we've all been there. We've all learned this. We've all had to figure it out. So that's probably going to be the best it's going to be. And I'll give you a great example. I can close insane. Michelle, you've seen my numbers. I close insane numbers in 7-figure MSP. My salespeople, even Michelle, probably will never hit those numbers because they're not the founder. It is what it is. So you got to understand that. So if you think you're going to hand off something that doesn't exist and get even mediocre performance from somebody cutting their teeth on your dollar, and your, more importantly, probably than your dollar, your time, rude awakening time.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, and that might sound harsh if someone's listening right now, like, why would I hire a salesperson if they're not going to convert as much, right? However, what is important to you? It's time to really check in with yourself. Is your time, your freedom, and your scalability more important? Or is it that you maintain the exact same conversion amount, right? And you know what? That's a personal choice for everybody listening right now. But I personally know which one I would choose, because quality of life as a business owner is one of the most difficult things to achieve, but the most beautiful thing that you're never going to want to give up once you get it.
Yeah.
So Chris, this is one of your, I'm sorry, what was that?
I said it's really difficult to get your time back.
Really, time is literally the only finite resource, right?
Yep.
Chris, I love that you added this one. Last time we did this together, you spoke to this. So I'm going to let you speak to this a little bit. But it's the 50% of calendar to sales.
Yep. And so this is kind of how I measure the founder-led sales model. And this is my opinion. This is exactly what I did and what I recommend all of our members do. By the way, Michelle, we had in onboarding this morning, I'm very proud to say that we had 3 different members with 3 different salespeople that they have gone through the model, gone through the 7-figure MSP Elite program, and now they've hired salespeople and they're going back through it again with them with their new closers. So that was really cool to see this morning. Just so you know,
that's amazing. That makes me so excited.
Yeah, it's so exciting. So what we talk about, guys, with the founder-led sales model, is you should get to a point running the 7-figure MSP play, or running, I gave you that run the play worksheet that you can do on your own. All the stuff that we're telling you today is free, and you can do this on your own if you want to, but you run a CSRA on every single client, go back through, upgrade them. You should be pushing them up the ladder towards $300 a seat. Maybe even if you have to scale them over a period of time and stack their costs over, 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever. But you should be going through every existing client, getting your numbers up as high as you can, to where 50% of your day-to-day is spent on sales and sales activities. That doesn't mean 15 hours on building quotes, like Michelle said with that other guy. It's actually doing real sales activities, meeting with clients, account managers, QBRs, all these other things, meeting with prospects. So now you actually have something that you can hand off to a real closer. And effectively, by hiring that person, you've just bought back all of those hours in your week. So think about that. If that's 15 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours a week, we actually have something that we can bring them on. They can shadow you on real time. They can learn from the master in the business, internally, system, process, scalable. Okay, now I'm going to hand this off to you. Now we have something that we can give them. So once your calendar hits 50% full, my opinion is you're then ready to hire a closer. Now, again, common sense applies on that, and your mileage may vary, but that's our baseline.
Yes, mileage may vary. Oh my gosh, I love that saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, and then you can reallocate your time back to marketing. And I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle, because once you have run the play on all your existing clients and your 50% of your time is dedicated to sales, and you're able to give that back to someone else, that means you can do more marketing, and more leads is a good thing. All right. Okay, so let's go through a couple of secrets here when we're talking about hiring that salesperson and kicking this off, okay? So most CEOs fail when handing off sales. So before I was here at 7-Figure MSP, I literally taught founders how to scale with sales teams. Okay, that is like literally what I did, and I have seen this time and time again. So I am speaking from a place of truth, and trust me, nothing has changed. Okay. Most CEOs fail when handing off sales. And here is how you avoid this. Okay. You're hiring for the wrong reasons and before you're ready, right? And the other thing is so we have a really detailed process for hiring. So I'm chief revenue officer, so I hire clearly for more than just salespeople, but it's a really, really tight process of where we publish our job descriptions. Okay, so there's step 1. Step 2 is the preliminary screening, which usually requires them to not just submit their resume, but also a video. So I know they're interested and they're real people, and I can get a vibe for them even before then. I never take the first interview myself. Absolutely not, but they're all recorded, and I'm able to look at the notes from the person who did the interviewing as well. Then we take typically the top three people, and that's who I will go interview and pick my final candidate. Occasionally, I'll even use a third party to vet my final couple to make sure that it is 100% the best we can do. I never just say, hey, you're cool, I met you at a networking event, or hey, my aunt said I should hire you, so I'm going to. Never skip the steps. Even if it's your cousin, make them go through the entire interview process and determine as a company if they are the right fit. Okay, this is so absolutely critical. And I know Chris, always says, don't hire your family. That's his. That's
I have a pretty standard rule that is, I don't hire family or friends. Now, if I become friends with you, like Michelle and I are friends, we became friends after we started working together. We knew each other. We had established the level of competency.
Yes.
That's probably doable. Okay, but do not hire. Like I really like this slide. Don't hire your cousin because your aunt begged you. Don't hire your brother. In fact, we see this a lot. People hiring family members because they're like, oh, they'll be pretty good for this job. No, they'll suck. I'll just tell you that. They're going to suck.
And I never want to hire someone that's pretty good, right? I actually look to hire people that are better at me at certain things. Like, that's so critical. And I know that that's something you believe in too. And I'm glad you like this slide. Every once in a while, I'm funny.
Oh, that's a great slide. Good.
Okay, so you want to hire for the right reasons. Okay, that means a proven track record. Culture fit is huge, 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 huge. Okay, not
Probably
every
probably some of the most important thing I'd say with culture. I mean, you guys could just tell, like Michelle and I just totally jive. Like she's sitting there wearing a t-shirt. I'm wearing a t-shirt. Like we don't care. She's in Park City. I'm in Iowa. Like it doesn't matter. You got to have the people that fit and jam with you.
Yes, 100%. Chris, how weird would that be if I showed up in like a 4-piece or 5-piece suit? Oh, wait, you're muted. Oh,
No, I'm not.
that was weird.
Yeah.
Okay. That was
Are you
such a
telling me
delay.
that I'm better muted? No, I think it's, you just got to have the right people, that right flow. Like it would not fit at all. I mean, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt every day at work. Like that's what I work in, that's how it works.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, love it, love it. And the culture fit is really critical because there's some fast-paced companies, there's slow-paced companies, there's companies with a lot of red tape, there's companies without a lot of red tape, and so it's really critical that you're hiring people that fit well with that. Like I hesitate for, we're a fast-moving company, and you got to keep up, or you're going to get left behind, and you're not going to have fun working here, right? And then nobody's going to be happy. So you have to be quick, fast, modern, and super hungry to enjoy working here, and that's who we hire. So another really big thing is making sure that you do role play, ensuring that it sounds good when they're using your script or your syntax or your format, making sure that they're hungry, and that is a really, really critical one. Salespeople who aren't hungry, they're just going to die a slow death, because sales is one of the hardest jobs ever. So they need to be hungry. And I love during a sales interview if they interview you. So if they don't have great follow-up questions for you, and I'm not talking about like, what made you want to start your company, right? A good question for a salesperson to ask is, for example, okay, Mr. Business Owner, I have noticed in my sales career that 30% of my sales come from follow-ups within 90 days. Can you share a little bit with me about your experience and deal velocity within the organization and what I can expect? Whoa, right? So someone who can show up like that and ask you that type of question is going to knock it out of the park for you. Okay. And this is the other part, is thinking, and I mentioned this slightly before, is thinking that a closer is a CRO or a CSO, so Chief Revenue Officer, Chief Sales Officer. And sorry is not sorry. It is your job as the business owner to create the proven sales process before handing it off. Okay. It is absolutely critical. It's just seriously the most recipe for disaster ever if you don't. Okay.
I do have a question that's come up here.
Oh yeah. What is it?
I think it kind of fits now. So this is from Esley. I'll put this on the screen for everybody here that can see that. So Esley said, should companies consider hiring cheap salespeople if they deliver results? Can this be a viable strategy for saving some dollars? Okay, so I'm going to answer this, and then I want Michelle to answer this too, because I've no idea. We've not talked about this kind of thing before, but I have gone down the couple of different paths with this, guys, just so you know. So I tried the whole commission only salesperson thing. I've tried the pay per close plus I've probably done everything you're thinking of. I've probably already done, aka I've made all the mistakes there are to be made. Here's my mindset around that. Time is more important than the money that you're going to save. That's thing one. So the time you're going to probably waste on this is more important than the money you're going to save. They're more than likely not going to be working for you as a full-time job. I'd say 95% chance or higher. More importantly than that, they're not going to get very good results. Like I know there's companies that come in all day long and tell you, like Michelle, you and I have gone down the path with ads companies, and like we do this stuff too. Like we see it all over the place. If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true, right? So my recommendation, and we're going to go into some of this stuff, is to pay them properly. Michelle's going to dive into this a little bit further. It's pay them properly, hire them internally, and bet on long-term stability versus short-term get in, get off, get out strategies. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah. So my thoughts are very, very similar to what you just said. And so much so that like I've never had anybody come back to me and say, guess what, Michelle, I got the cheapest salesperson and they were so good and they totally performed way better than my friend that actually hired one that they paid a base salary to. I've never in my 20 something years of sales had anyone ever say that. So I'm up for the challenge. Anyone can send me a message if I'm wrong, but it just does not happen. And the thing is another thing I'd like to add is the amount of time it takes to train someone, regardless if they're part-time, cheap, or expensive. It's still 40 to 80 hours of training on onboarding to hand off sales to someone. So every time you make a hiring mistake, you don't get that time back. And that is like so frustrating. And it's usually a reason and a catalyst why a lot of people, if they have a failed attempt, don't want to do it again. Yeah. And I think it's really powerful, Chris, that we have our elite members that are now bringing their salespeople through our proven process because, oh my gosh, that is like such an incredible benefit of being part of our community that you can do that because that's saving the CEO so much time on creating training universities, mentorship, like it blows my mind we're able to do that because it's such a huge value.
Yeah. And so you guys can see that Michelle and I are pretty damn aligned on this. We've actually never talked about that because she knows my viewpoint was we're building it internally. We're hiring our own closers, et cetera, et cetera. She's going to go more into depth on that, but I think it's a really, really good scenario. I do have one other question here from Sarah. Okay. What should a business owner look for in a candidate's work culture fit? I'm going to tell you from my standpoint, you can't be over to the right. I don't want to say right and left in today's political climate, but you can't be one side and maybe the other. Like it literally has to be the same. Like I said, Michelle and I are shooting the shit, swearing, not caring, wearing t-shirts and shorts. It's just, you need to have a cult. You know, when people are a culture fit or not. You can't have a group of all elderly people and then bring in a 18-year-old. You can't have a group of 18-year-olds and bring in a grandfather. Like it just doesn't work that way. So you got to think about the stuff that you're going to do, and it's got to be a fit to what you jam, your values. And Michelle and I put together our core values for when she came here full time, and we presented it to our management team. And it really was her interviewing me on what I believe. So we got to know each other really well. We got to have establish our core values. And then I projected that to the rest of the team. And we've had a couple of people since then that we've decided to part ways with because they weren't a culture fit. So sometimes you have to do it later too. Just stuff to think about.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, and I'm so glad that you brought up the core values, is that you have to hire based on your core values. And if you've not established core values, you need to, because it's really, really hard to stay committed to that hiring process if you don't know what they are. Okay. And what I love, what Cindy's put inside the elite program is she's inside the hiring process toolkit that she has in there. She teaches you how to create your core values and hire for core values. So once again, it's just everything is accessible for you. And I just really love that about what we've created. But if you're not a member or you don't plan to be a member, at least go through that exercise because it's really, really important.
Yeah. Lisa Thompson, I'm going to get to your question in a few minutes because I think you're going to see some of this in what Michelle has. So we'll keep going on this and I'll come back and I'll answer that question.
Okay, awesome. So CEOs that don't love or excel at sales often also jump ahead and try to hire a closer to build the sales process and sell at the same time. So this is an expansion of what I talked about on the last slide. So, but the ones who hate sales are usually the highest at risk for this. And so I'm just bringing this to the surface and attention so that don't think that that's going to fix your problem. And certainly I think I have a slide on this. I may or may not, but I'm going to touch on it real quick here. Please, for the love of God, do not go and hire an outside agency to close for you. Okay. It will absolutely not work.
Well, and some of that is what they're talking about with the cheap salesperson too. Like I know there's agencies out there like Michelle's talking about. I echo that 100%.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. There are a few industries where I've seen it be moderately successful, but in the MSP industry, Absolutely not. And your internal closer will always be better than anyone that's trained from the outside. And also, if you ever want to exit the day-to-day activities or sell your business and that's outsourced, you are worth so much less because you don't have control over client acquisition. And if someone's
that is such an insanely good point that I've never heard stated that way. Oh my God, that is so well said. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's really, really critical. Okay. So it's why we're obsessed and committed to one proven sales process and helping the CEO plug and play, prove, and then train a closer to take over. So my next slide here, I'm going to see if I can figure this out. Okay. I think I have to click. Let's see what happens. Oh,
yeah,
good.
It's clicks for everyone.
Yay. Okay. Clicks for everybody.
We don't even make our own slides here at Seven Figure anymore.
I know. I'm like, I don't even know what Ron did. Okay, here we go. I'm like, thanks, Ron. You rocked. Okay, so Ron is our wonderful graphic designer that works a ton and does all this beautiful stuff for us. Okay, so I'm going to share with you our proven sales process. And this is where I hope you're taking notes. You can take a picture of the screen, like whatever you want. Okay, but it's really critical that you see what this looks like, what a proven sales process looks like in an MSP. Okay, so first of all, you get a cold lead, right? So this could be dials, emails, a networking event, someone who comes to your website, an ad. I mean, guys, it could go on forever, right? So you have this lead come in. What's really critical is the first thing is to nurture them, which means you're going to have a direct outreach campaign that builds trust, pre-qualifies leads, and increases close rates. Okay. This is really critical because if you don't do this, it's a lot harder to close, okay? Even if you do happen to get them on a call, okay? The next thing is your first time appointment. So that first time appointment is really critical. I love how Lindsay refers to it as, can you stand their voice? I think that's really awesome how she talks to that. The first time appointment is a brief conversation just to make sure you're an overall good fit. And then you will move to the discovery call. You'll notice these are distinctive steps. This is not, we are not teaching how to go in and close off of a one appointment. Just, you will not have the success selling the $300 per seat, which is ultimately what we think and we believe will make you scalable and profitable if you're just going in there, shooting your shot and, shooting from the hip on that first appointment. So the discovery call is really the intake sales conversation where you're able to deep dive into their business and understand what their potential risk is and how you can serve them. Okay. And unlike some other coaching organizations out there, you don't just go and close them into a $300 per seat. You must sell them into a cybersecurity risk assessment. And yes, you heard me right, sell them into a cybersecurity risk assessment. Hundreds and hundreds of posts inside our client Facebook group about how much people are charging for cybersecurity risk assessments. It is common practice. And from a sales psychology standpoint, if someone's willing to pay you a little bit of money, they're willing to pay you a lot of money. And so that helps build into the sales psychology, right? So I'm not just giving you a free assessment because my time and my advice and my expertise is valuable. So you're already establishing that authority and you're not going to have to race to the bottom like the other MSPs. Okay. And I don't know about you. I never buy the cheapest thing. I'm scared of the cheapest thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you're the cheapest, why? Like, why? So unless you can give me a compelling reason of why you're cheap, then I am like not going for this, especially when it comes to something like cybersecurity protection. Okay. And then you will go from the cybersecurity risk assessment. Then you will pitch your $300 per seat, close them, wrap them up, and go have a party. Chris, would you like to add anything to this?
No, I mean, it's completely scalable, completely, how do we say this, transportable. We talked about the gentleman or the various different people coming into our coaching call this morning, our weekly onboarding for new clients. They're bringing their brand new hired closers in and putting them through our sales process because they've actually been able to put it into play, graduate basically from it, and now are bringing in someone else to buy back their time. So this is exactly the process. I agree with everything you went through there.
Awesome. So I would love to know in the comments section right now, how important time is for you. Like, I'm really curious about the value alignment on this call of what we're saying is like really speaking to people. So let me know in the comments section below, because for Chris and I think time is probably our most, valuable and cherished asset. Like when I first came into 7-figure MSP, I made a laundry list of everything that we wanted to automate, systemize, structure, SOPs, because I wanted to optimize my time so I can be a more effective leader and optimize my team's time so that we can accomplish more in less time. It is so valuable. And so I would just love to know in the comments section below, like if you also are aligned with Chris and I on that being one of the most important things.
Yeah, we're getting a ton of messages here. Extremely important. Time is everything. Time is the one thing you can't buy more of. So everybody's on the same page with us.
Good. Love it. I love it when we're aligned on values. Okay. So secret number 2 is that the sales team hiring order really matters. And I think I'm going to have to talk to Ron because these are some cheesy photos right now. I think we might need to upgrade them. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I think he has like some kind of like good luck beads on his wrist. That's really funny. Okay.
Yeah,
all
I
right.
don't know what those are. Yeah.
That's actually really funny. Okay, it's like the yogi interviewing for a sales job or something. Okay, I digress. I get sidetracked. All right, so the sales team hiring order really matters. Okay, and like I mentioned before, like have you been listening to our other webinars? Okay, let me know in the comment section right now if you've been listening to them, because the clues to my answer and the actual answers are in all of the webinars that we do. Okay. So our head of marketing coaching, our VP of marketing coaching, Lindsay, has literally dropped so many serious value bombs. One of them being how important cold calling and FTAs and lead generation are. Okay. And once again, if you join the school community, and I hope that somebody put that in the chat for me, you can go back and binge this. Okay. So one thing that like I love about being this online business and providing these recordings to everyone is if you go on a walk, just plug your earbuds in and start to listen. You don't need to be at your computer and, ready and all of the things. Like if that's not available for you for these replays, just plug in and just listen and walk or do something, and you will learn so much. Like Lindsay over delivers every single time. Okay. So please don't hire a closer thinking they will also create your marketing machine. Now, marketing machine is what Lindsay teaches you to create. Okay. Salespeople want to make money, and without leads, they get frustrated and leave. Okay. So my recommendation is to hire that dialer before you hire the closer. Okay. And Chris, I'd love to hear your opinion on that, but I think we're aligned on that as well. It's so important that you have the marketing activity built to justify bringing someone on to then start to close them.
Yeah, we're totally on the same page with that. Where I would say with you guys, especially if you're a little bit more of a mature MSP, when I say mature, at least 10 clients, you should be the one account managing. You should be the one selling. You should be the one doing your quarterly business reviews. So you actually then are upselling your existing client base. You're working with your existing client base. You're selling new deals. You automatically have something that you can actually hand off to that closer at that point. And then what you should be focusing on, and I really liked, there's a comment from Jeff Seaman here that said, I have regained much of my time. I have the capacity to continue sales efforts. My number one job now is to make sure that my marketing and lead gen team drives appointments to the closers, period. That's Michelle. Like I manage Michelle and Michelle manages them. And that's what we're all like, that's literally what we focus on every single day is we're focused on that almost exclusive. The first thing we look at when we get up, it's the last thing we look at before we go to bed. And it's really critical that you're staying on top of that. Notice how that doesn't mean that we're not a great coaching firm. I'm still responsible for vision, but it is not my primary role. It is not my primary job to be in the trenches at the company. My primary job is making sure that we are cash flow focused. So that should be the same as yours. And that was in my MSP. That's where I was, but right before I sold as well. That's your job now. I understand you were the best at tech. You want to grow and sell and build a machine, or do you want to just be in the trenches working on servers? Hey, you can do that. That's fine. Nobody's going to judge that. But why are you here on the webinar then?
Right. 100%. And I think that's so, and that shift of identity is a big mindset hurdle for a lot of people. Right. Yeah. So I would encourage you, if you're listening to this and maybe it's triggering you a little bit and you're like, oh my gosh, Chris just called me out, right? Like, get a community. Like, I mean, we would love to welcome you into our elite coaching program, which we'll talk about when we're done with the education piece of this. But if it's not that, get something, because you need people to hold your hand through those identity shifts, both professional coaches and peers. And it'll be 10 times easier. Okay. So a reminder here is that we have a more marketing education that's coming up in 2 weeks. And so you always want to be catching our next webinar if you're a repeat webinar binger. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and talk compensation, and assuming that you meet the criteria to hire. Okay. Now, this is a really, really big one that has a lot of wiggle room and different ways that you can do things, but I want to break this down, okay? So I would recommend a $60K per year base plus commission, so that the on-target earnings, that's what OTE means, is between 110 and 150, okay? This is a very moderate, middle of the ground compensation plan. Great salespeople expect to make 6 figures, and you only want the best inside your organization so that you can hit your targets. And so this is the absolute minimum I would pay. And Chris, I'll let you chime in here when it comes to somebody handling literally client acquisition for your company. So if you think of it that way, that's why it's paid so much. Chris, any comments on that?
Your job is to drive leads to their calendar and educate them and empower them to close these deals in the best way. And either you build that on your own, AKA what it took me 15 years to do. I built my entire sales system. I did trainings and podcasts, like all this stuff for years. I went to Chartech. I went to Robin Robbins. I went to ASCII. I went to ChannelCon. I went to all these different things, and it took me 15 years. And then I still saw after that, there was still a hole in the industry. And that's where we put that into play. Michelle, can you back up one slide? There's a couple people asking questions here. So all these things put together, people, and this goes back to the commission only thing and some of the other stuff I was talking about earlier. You want them full time. You want them to follow your process. You want them to follow your machine. You want them to be on staff. You have to give them a livable wage to work and live. Because I'm going to tell you right now, anybody that's coming in commission only out of the box, unless you have, the only way that I would give you a little bit of latitude on that is if you are like literally your calendar is jammed full of appointments that you're closing 60 to 70% of your deals on, which I'm going to tell you in MSP land, that's less than 2%, probably less than 1% of MSPs are actually doing that for the right numbers too. Like I had a guy tell me I'm closing 100% of my deals, and then he's closing at like $20 a seat. I'm like, why are you closing? Like, don't tell me that. Like, it's not even real, right? So you have to give them a real job. If you say to yourself, I can't afford this person, then we got to go back to work. Then we got to close founder-led sales model, owner-led sales model until we get to the point that we're talking. And then you can afford to scale. I also echo 100%, build a lead gen system and a sales process first. You have to have something you can give these people. If you hire somebody full-time, $100,000 a year, they're still not going to be qualified enough to create this sales system. It's not something you want to just hand off to some lackey. Like, that's not what you want to do.
Yep.
Just because you don't like it. I understand you don't like it. Work with a system. If it's not 7-figure MSP, find somebody else in the marketplace that has something that you can mimic. And that could, I have an MSP that I know in Louisiana. They went through the Gary Vee system. They've spent $200,000. I'm sorry, not Gary Vee. They went through what's the 10X stuff? Grant Cardone. They went through Grant Cardone University. They spent $200,000 going through that, and it's not MSP specific. Hey, that's fine. It's still working for them, and they're doing okay, and they're not unhappy. So I don't care what you do, but do something and just understand it's going to cost you the failures. the amount of companies that can actually withstand a horrible hire. We're talking single digit percentage points that can handle a full flop of a hire. It's really difficult. Okay. Next question from Russ here that I'm going to get to. And then there was a question. Hold on. One quick question. Actually, this might be, I'm going to let you do this. And then Russ, I'm going to come back to your question because I think this might be relevant to what Michelle's talking about. His question was, how's commission part of the structure? But here you go.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. We put this slide together. Together. Okay. So what I would recommend is a 90-day training period. And what you can do right now to make that training period eventually a lot easier for yourself is record yourself doing everything you do in sales. Okay. So how you manage your pipeline, how you call, how you book your first time appointments, anything you can literally document and record, it can become part of your training library. Okay. That will help you so much. And then clearly, like, I hope you're in some type of program where your salesperson will also be trained alongside that process. That's what we do in Elite. So that's a key part of it. And then also giving them achievable milestones that scale over 90 days. You cannot expect them to come in and perform at like 100% in the first 30 or 60 days. Like, show them the path to success and allow them to like grab the carrot at each stage, because if they have small successes along the way, psychologically that gets them super excited and devoted to the company, and they will keep moving forward to do better for you. Okay. So that's a really, really key part of it. Also making sure that you shadow them, like depending on what your sales process looks like, if it's all in person or maybe you've mixed in some virtual, like shadow them or listen to their calls, like be part of it. You cannot just throw them into the trenches and expect it to be successful. Okay. The next thing here is a tiered gross MRR accelerators. Chris, I'm going to let you explain this since it's so specific to MSPs of the 2% to 5%.
Yeah, so it really is going to depend. We have various different things out there, but if you follow our specific timeline around this and on our specific, where it gets wonky is you got all kinds of different people on this webinar doing all kinds of different sales systems. So I'm going to specifically talk to what we do. We have tiered accelerators based on how long they're around, whether they're hitting quota or not. We have various different things that you hit. And the longer they're with you, the longer they hit their commission and their quota. The longer they hit their quota will determine what level of percentage they're at and how long they're with you. So common sense applies, but you have to be, again, the one that runs the show top to bottom on that. And you have to have something scalable and you have to have something predictable and controllable.
Yes. And I'll add to that from a salesperson's perspective. When you get paid on recurring revenue, you're not going to want to leave. So instead of just getting paid one-off when you close a deal, but now you're getting paid off the MRR and however long they stay around, that is huge. People will not want to abandon that. It is a huge part of retention in the sales role. Okay. So that's one thing that I wanted to mention. And then clearly with your project and hardware, you'll have to calculate those commissions based on, how much room you have in order to pay someone. Okay. Chris, did you say there was another question around this, or should I move on?
There was. This was from Lisa. I'll put it on the screen for everybody to hear. This was more of a how can you verify a candidate's claimed sales achievements during an interview? Like, how is that proven during the interview? I think we can come back to that still in the Q&A. So Lisa, I'm going to come back to that one, but it's kind of relevant during all this, but we'll come back to it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to make sure that's a great question. So I want to make sure I get to that. All right.
And by the way, my friend just handed me a beer, so I'm cracking the beer. So whatever.
That's amazing.
This is our culture that we have here. So,
well, then, I only have like a healthy soda right now. I feel like I should go swap it out.
Whatever.
All right. So secret number 3 is that great salespeople still need management. So you're going to get an enormous amount of your time back by not having to do sales, but you don't completely exit and don't ever worry about client acquisition ever again. Your role has changed. Is it less time? 1,000,000%. Typically anywhere from you spend 75 to 60% less time on client acquisition. I would say, let me go to 75%. So 75% of the time towards client acquisition and sales you get back, but you still have that 25% that's now transitioning into a management role and guiding the salespeople to be successful. Okay. So here is your leadership checklist. Doing discovery call reviews. So it kind of depends on how you do this, if they're in person or if they're virtual. Discovery call reviews, if they're recorded, is awesome. If not, then do go with them on a few if they are in person to make sure that everything's going well. Okay.
My personal recommendation on this, guys, is get as much as your company digital and remote as you can within reason. As an MSP, right? We're going to have clients that we've met with forever in person. So you got to be conscious of that. But remote and digital is kind of pretty accepted in today's world. It's also very, very, very scalable, and it very much opens up so many things. Now, that doesn't mean you can be lazy and quit on things. You got to actually double down on everything. And I really like Michelle's leadership checklist here, because you notice what she's got on there: daily, weekly huddles, daily huddles, guys. Yep. Deal review every single day. We're doing this stuff every day on our team. And we got what, 9 on your team, Michelle?
Yeah, I'm going to have to do a head count here. I think you're about right.
Yeah. So like, it is mission critical that the more remote they are, the more you have to do this. If they're in person, you still got to do it. Yeah. And the IT guy is like, I don't want to deal with this. Too freaking bad. Like, you want to grow? You want sales? You better. I don't like dealing with it either. So I have dealt with it for a long time until I got to the point of I could afford to buy my time back with someone like Michelle and her team.
Yes. And this is just really critical. And guys, don't overthink this. It's not like you're spending 6 hours a day doing these things. Like, you got to streamline it, and it's really important. So like, your daily huddle can be just like, if you have one person, it could take you 15 minutes. If you have a bigger team, you're doing 30, right? And eventually you have a big enough sales team where you have a leader who starts them. Like, I don't even do our daily huddles in the morning anymore because I have a sales manager who does that, right? So I reserve my time for other things that, I need to be doing at my skill level and my responsibility level. The daily huddles is holding people accountable. What are you going to do today? What went well yesterday? What didn't? How are things going to change? Like, it's really, really, really critical. Role play is also huge. I love doing role play. So I host a once a week sales training for the entire team, and I pick a different topic and do different things. And role play is one of my most favorite things to lean on. I absolutely love that. So role play is great. Also, deal review, like, your pipe is life. I mean, there's a reason that's a saying, and one of the most famous sayings in sales, actually, pipe is life, is that you have to be looking at who is in your pipeline, at what stage, how quickly are they moving through? Do you understand how long it takes you from cold lead to closed? What's the expectation for movement? Why is a deal getting stuck? Like, it's really critical to ask those questions so you as the CEO and the mentor can help move it along. And it's also
really, it's very interesting. I don't mean to jump in on this, but it's very interesting because, guys, I want you to think about this. How many leads do you actually actively have in your pipeline? Most MSPs, Michelle, I'm going to tell you, are like near zero. It's growth by accident. So here's what I'm going to tell you about this. You're all probably like shaking your head like, oh, this is bullshit. I don't want to blah, blah, blah. Michelle, Chris, blah, blah, blah. What you purposely do in life will happen. I'm going to tell you that right now. So if you're moving towards, I want to be sales focused, I want to be lead gen focused, I want to be pipeline focused, it's going to take a little bit of time. I'm not going to say it's going to happen overnight, but it will happen. So my question to you is on that, and this is going to be a little Chris moment here. How bad do you want it?
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. I think that is a great way. Like, how much do you want it? And like, I don't think you or I are we have zero interest in forcing people to want to do things. You have to want to do it. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink it. Right. And I just think it's a really critical thing, but we tend to attract the MSPs that are ready to rock and roll and are motivated and want to do that. So I hope that's who's here right now, because you can do this. Now, the next thing is month to date and year to date KPIs. So it's really important you're not just looking at everything in isolation, like what happened today, right? Because it could be a great day and a horrible week, or a great week and a horrible day. And you see where I'm going with this pattern, right? And it's really critical that you're always looking at the data. And I smile a little bit when I say data, because I'm the data person at the company. And every time there's an issue, I look at the data, and sometimes I think that maybe Chris is like, Michelle, hurry up. And I'm like, I'm getting the data, right? So I love the data because it helps me make sound decisions on what's working and what's not, so that I don't make knee-jerk reactions to things, and I can make calculated decisions and movements. And so the data is so important. So you need to be tracking things like close rate, show up rate, how long it takes someone from hello to closed, the source of the deals. Where are you getting most of your deals from? Like, I even did this morning with my sales manager. I was like, hey, when we close now, I don't want to have to go investigate. And I don't want you to investigate on the source. Like, the source needs to auto-populate. So anyway, we're like working on some cool things inside our CRM so that we can see, because it's really, really important, because you want to double down on what's working. And we're seeing patterns in our business right now. And I want to put more fuel on the fire for those patterns and step back from things that aren't working. And without the data, you just don't know. Okay. Also, it's really important, once you get your marketing machine moving and you have your sales process moving, they need to talk to each other. Okay. Like, it's really important. So we currently we'll do it like twice a month, where we have sales and marketing talk to each other, and we strategize, we see what the obstacles are, right? Depending on how big your organization is, once a month might just be fine. Okay. And then also just making sure you're eliminating any obstacles that you can control. And this is what I like to call the CEO moves, right? If something is preventing people from buying and you can fix it, please go fix it. Okay. Like, you're the authority. You can go do this. And I just realized here, oops, that slide did not get updated. You can't join us in Indy virtually, but you can join us in Denver virtually. And it's not tomorrow, it's next week. Okay. So we had put that in the chat to go to Denver. Oh, I'm hearing a bunch of echoing now. Is that me, or Chris, do you have something going on out there? You have two going on?
No, I didn't, but just keep going.
Okay. I'm just hearing myself echo. I'm like, oh goodness. Okay. Okay. So if you can join us, you have to do continuing education. And our 3-day events, I think personally, are some of the best continued education in the marketplace. So get your virtual ticket, or if you're close to Denver, or if you're a last minute person like I am, get your booty to Denver. Okay. It's going to be an amazing event. One thing I'm personally looking forward to is, as a sales expert and someone who lives and dies by client acquisition, like, I'm obsessed with the topic, right? And I can't wait to hear Cindy's presentation about how she's changing our sales scripts based on the size of the company you're pitching, which is so cool. And I'm really looking forward to that talk. I can't wait to eat that up. So I think that it's going to be really valuable, and you won't want to miss this. So virtually or in person in Denver next week, it's going to be awesome. Okay. So most of all here, you need to know that your tone, and timing impact selling success of your closer more than anything. Okay, this is by far my favorite slide of the entire time, slide number 53. Okay, this is really, really critical. Sales is hard. No one's trying to say it's not. Okay, it takes commitment, hunger, determination, intelligence, all of these things. Okay, and it is critical that you master the leadership that motivates people to keep it on, to keep it going, to work for you, to be successful. And you just got to really watch the way that you talk to your sales team. They need to perform, but they also need to know occasionally they're doing okay, and you got to pat them on the back. Okay. This is a really, really critical piece of the puzzle. All right. So recap areas here. Okay. So scalable offer, be profitable enough to pay a closer, proven sales process, 50% of calendar to sales when you're ready to go. All right. And these are your 3 choices at this point. You either go figure it out based on what we've educated with you today and anything else that you can Google up. Okay. You go hire someone like myself as a CSO or a CRO, but you will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on that. Or you choose to work with someone like us and you put in a plug and play proven system, okay, that you can then duplicate and hand off to a salesperson. All right. So those are your 3 choices, friends. And now it is time for Q&A. So I'll wait for Chris to pop back up here since he's controlling some of the chat here. And Chris, also, do you want to take over the slide from here since you'll wrap us up?
Already done.
Oh, wow.
I actually I updated that Denver slide on the fly. So
did you really? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that one that said Indy. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it gets a little wonky when you're doing stuff real time. So whatever. Okay, so let's get back to that question. If you guys, anybody else has any questions for us related to any of that, feel free to ask questions as we go. Just put it in the chat, and I will bring that up. We had a question from Lisa, so we're going to go to this right now. This is on the screen. How can you verify a candidate's claimed sales achievements during an interview? Like, how is that proven during the interview? Okay, so I got a couple things on this. Michelle and I have never talked about this, so I'll be curious to see what she says. But here's what I say. Proof's in the pudding. People can claim what they want. If you feel like they're a culture fit, let's just say the only thing that you can't verify or you haven't looked. People can claim whatever they want. It's very difficult. I actually saw a tweet the other day that said, go ahead and put that you were a Radio Shack regional manager and see him disprove that one on your resume, because it was like all about that, because you can't prove it. Or like maybe I was a Blockbuster director or something like that. You can't prove most of that stuff, but you know what? The truth is going to come out in the performance. So we always recommend putting them on a trial. Don't hire immediately without some type of proof of concept. We actively do that. They have to go through our process, both for a SDR, your sales development rep, that's your dialer, or potentially a BDR, your business development rep, kind of next line up, or the closer. We do all 3 of those things, and they all have to go through a trial to get the job. Michelle?
Yes. So the other thing here is when you interview a lot, it takes some time sometimes, but I can smell a liar a mile away. Okay. And the way that you can start to smell a liar a mile away is ask detailed questions. Okay. So if somebody says, for example, I was 120% of quota with the last MSP that I worked for and blah, 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 say, oh, that's amazing. Why did you leave if you're 120% of quota? Right? So there's a challenging question. You're going to learn more about them. And then say, okay, so I understand you have this amazing background selling for other MSPs. I'm curious, like, what was your sales process? Okay. All of these questions, eventually, if you're really smart about interviewing, you're going to be able to know if it's true or it's not. And so your interview questions will reveal a liar really, really, really quickly. And also it's, I honestly think I've done, I don't know, like 100 interviews of salespeople in my life, maybe more. And I'm like, I'm not even sure, actually. I think I've lost track. And I've never had anyone like come to that interview and totally lie. Like, I'm sure they fudged a little bit because, they want to sell themselves, right? So I'm sure there's like a little bit of a fudge, but I have never actually had that happen because the screening process, because they have to submit a video, because they have to be committed, because they go through a first interview, like the barrier entry is there. And so I just wouldn't stress out too much about that, Lisa.
Yeah, a couple things I'll say to this too. I agree with what Michelle said. Like, if they hit their quota numbers for 5 years straight, why are they looking to leave? So if they're looking to leave, chances are, why are they looking to leave? Think about it. What are they wanting? They want more money. That's why they're trying to leave. Are you the solution to that? Maybe, maybe not. So you got to think about those things. And you got to be very conscious of the day they're going to interview with you. This is probably the best behavior they're ever going to be on. right? You think about that. It's probably the best. It's for sure in tech world, right? For sure, if we're going to engineer a help or hire or interview a tech or a help desk guy, for sure, that's the best behavior. So it's like that in sales. Sales are just better at disguising it because they're better at selling. So they're going to sell themselves. It's probably the best behavior they're ever going to be on. So you just got to be very conscious of it. Don't overcommit too early. Don't commit to, oh yeah, walk into the door, giving them a full-time job right away with a 100K base or something. Like, don't do that. Put them on a trial, make them show that they actually can do some stuff. But a lot of this comes down to, and this is something we didn't talk about at all during this today with Michelle. We may want to add this in the future to a deck. If you don't have all the processes in place that Michelle was talking about there, the chances are high that there's going to be a failure somewhere in here. And it's usually not the prospect, meaning the interviewee, that fails. It's usually us. It's usually us not having our processes down, not managing properly, not having a good sales machine, not having a good lead gen machine behind it. And we just expect, and what I see most MSP salespeople try and do is they pick this whole thing called sales and marketing and lead gen, and then they dump it on them. And they're like, here, I want to go be a tech, have fun, go double my company. Don't work that way, guys. It's your show. Run it. Own it.
100%. And, everybody who's still here, I almost forgot, I have a readiness checklist for you.
Oh, boy. Where did this go? Where did this come from?
There it goes. So I just put it there in the chat right now, and you go ahead and pull it up if you would like. I actually thought I had a QR code in here, and I don't know what happened to that, but it's in the chat.
Feels like user error.
It might be. Well, I'm not gonna deny that, but at least you got it. Okay, people. Yeah. At least you got it.
Is that anything you can show on the screen so we can show what it looks like? I don't
Sure.
know what that is. Okay. Show that. This is gonna be an adventure, guys.
While
he's bringing that up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if we got any more questions here. Via Viso board. I don't know what that means, but somebody said I just joined, so I missed a chunk. We'll go back and watch. But before even thinking about hiring a salesperson, do we need to have a marketing and lead generation in place first? Correct. Namely, you need to have a sales process. That's thing number one. 2, you need to be doing an owner, founder-led sales model in some capacity. My recommendation is that you're filling up 50% of your weekly calendar with sales and marketing activities, specifically QBRs, TBRs, technology business reviews, quarterly business reviews, actively doing new prospect meetings, and actively doing CSRAs and running the play on existing clients. That's what I would recommend. Then you have something that you can hand off. Meanwhile, you're using the cash flow that you're generating to build a true marketing system. We call it a marketing machine, and we have a full training system on that, along with a full training process on this whole thing, which I'm going to go through in a couple minutes. I believe Michelle is ready with her handout because I see it popped up in the bottom. So hold on. We got the link that we put in the chat for you guys, but Michelle, I just shared your screen so you can take a look at that. This is our sales team readiness checklist. Michelle, take it away.
Yeah, so this is just reflecting what's been in the presentation today. I love like a one sheet personally. So I would encourage you to just print this off, put it on your bulletin board, keep it on your desk, and start to, of course, check the boxes as you are ready. And so this is just a way for you to remember everything we talked about today without having to go back and listen to everything. So I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, so there's your link, guys. That's pretty awesome. That's really good stuff. We usually try and give at least 1 to 2 really good deliverables on every one of these webcasts. So you guys have that. I'm going to bring my thing back up on the screen here. I'm going to keep going. If anybody has any other questions, please put it in the chat. I'm going to keep going on my presentation here and get you guys out here in the next 15 minutes as promised. Let me just bring up my stuff. So you heard Michelle mention a little bit earlier about our 7-figure MSP Inner Circle program. We have a couple different packages inside of our Inner Circle. I want to talk about both of them really quick, but first of all, I want to give you a great example of a case study. This is a gentleman named Brian Wooster. In fact, Michelle, I don't know if you saw somebody had asked about our elite program in the IT and MSP business owners group over the weekend. And we had like 30 or 40 of our clients comment, and Brian was one of them. Talking that he added, I think 20,000 of MRR in his first 90 days in the program. And this is a great example of somebody that came in joined just about a year ago, 8/24/23, closed his first deal in about 20 days, which is cool. 5 presentations in 4 weeks, 4 contracts signed, and he added, just with existing clients, $7,800 in new MRR. And that's a great example of somebody that's coming in, adding a bunch of stuff. And we have 2 different factors inside of the 7-figure MSP Inner Circle program. We have not only our elite program, but we also have our 0 to 10K program. 0 to 10K is if you're below 10K in MRR, or here's what kind of my goal is on this. If you are at a place where you are still a single MSP trying to get new deals and you're focused mostly on break fix, you should look at 0 to 10K. It's 0to10k.com. It is a $2,000 flat rate program. It is a course. We have coaching aligned with it, a ton of really good content in it, but it's a do-it-yourself course. We also have on top of that our Inner Circle Elite program. This is a complete sales and marketing coaching program to take your MSP to 7 figures and beyond. So we have full sales and marketing coaching on top of that, included with that. Starting out, you heard me mention earlier our sales onboarding. I was on that this morning. Every Monday, I'm on that with me and Ryan O'Hara are on our onboarding every single week. So you get our full sales onboarding process live. You get me, Ryan, Cindy. So Monday, every single week is me and Ryan O'Hara. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is Cindy Phillips going through her stuff. We also have on top of that our full weekly sales open office hours. We have 3 of those, and we are just getting ready to fully expand and launch into Australia with a full onboarding system. We've been covering Australia, but they've been kind of having to adapt to our hours, but we're just getting ready to launch our full Australian team, which I'm very excited about as well. So we've been working on that pretty actively for a couple months now, just making sure we have a really good footprint over there because we're really good in Australia. We just don't have calls on their time zones quite yet. We also have on top of that with Lindsay Badillo, our VP of marketing coaching. She has her marketing machine. This is the program we were talking about earlier. That's our complete marketing onboarding process live. Now in sales coaching, we do onboarding every week, every single week, new people in, boom, 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 boom. With marketing, it's a lot more involved. It takes a lot more stuff. This also covers your entire company. So 1 subscription for your entire staff. I don't care if you're 5K MRR or 50K MRR. We work with you. It's the same exact cost. So you get sales coaching, you get full marketing coaching, our full marketing onboarding process live, along with Lindsay also has 3 marketing open office hours every single week. So just between the sales coaching team and the marketing coaching team, we have 6 open office hours calls and all kinds of onboarding systems. This is a complete top to bottom process, sales process and marketing process, top to bottom. On top of that, we include full proposal presentation and agreement templates. So our full cybersecurity sales presentation included. That's a PowerPoint. Our full cybersecurity sales proposal included. That is a Word doc. So fully included. We also have our full risk acceptance letter template included. So we teach you how to go back to your existing clients, upsell them. And if they say, we're not going to say you're going to close 100%. So you're either going to get people that close, and it's about 60% close on the new deal, on the upsell. And then the other 40%, we draw a line in the sand of liability. You heard me mention that earlier. Hey guys, I told you that you needed to do more stuff. Here's the line I'm drawing in the sand. Here's what's going to happen when you do get a breach. I'm not going to be left holding the bag. On top of that, we have our full master service agreement and statement of work templates included, along with our incident response plan template and our full ultimate MSP contract kit included. This was an add-on previously, and in the last Q3 here, we've added this as a full included inside of Elite. So that was previously sold for $4,000. It's still sold to the public for $4,000. It's included inside of Elite now. We also have our weekly legal advice call with our in-house general counsel, Paige Taylor. She runs that every Monday, 2 p.m. Central Time. So she was on about 2.5 hours ago running that call just like a normal Monday. We also have on top of that, you guys see the stack of stuff we're talking here. We got process, structure, and tools, our full risk assessment system. We teach you how to do CSRAs top to bottom and include a tool called Talivi on top of that. We also have our 7-figure MSP hiring machine, templates, job descriptions, how to do CSAT stuff, and how to do DISC assessments and all these other things on top of that. We also include on the marketing side our full MSP CRM WiseTrack. We have 1,000 included downloadable leads per month inside of our Clean Lead software. That's there as well. Training and coaching. We had a full help desk, all kinds of different stuff with WiseTrack. We got tons of marketing campaigns, our monthly client newsletter, and then our entire copywritten email sequence for you guys to use, and an MSP website. All that stuff's built into the program. It's all built into Wisetrack. It runs like a machine. It's absolutely awesome. So, Chris, what is the next step? I got to get my breath. Too much talking. Woo. What's the next step here? You guys saw all the stuff that we have included in our Inner Circle Elite program. Here's all the stuff here. I'm just going to go really quickly through that. $18,000 a month in value. My special offer for you guys today, it is a minimum 12-month commit. Now, you can do month-to-month, but it's like $3,500 if you want to do month-to-month, because the bottom line is you're not going to come in here and take all my stuff and leave in a single month. But it's $2,000 per month on a 12-month commit. But I'm going to give you a little bit better offer. If you guys act right away and book your call with our sales team, and Michelle's going to throw the link in the chat for me for our booking link, I'll save you $250 per month. So you get $1,750 on a 12-month commit. If you book your call right now, you can scan the QR code on your screen. You can also book the call with the URL. I'm going to give you right now. Michelle's throwing it in the chat also. Actually, got it? Okay, hold on. I'm going to hit that really quick and then I'll come back to you.
Yep.
There's your URL, and I'm going to come back to my guarantees. Let me come back to my guarantees really quick here. Just let me do this. I don't know if this program will work. I'm nervous to commit. I think it's a scam. Chris Weiser sucks. There's a whole Reddit thread if you guys want to look at that. It's called Chris Weiser Sunday. Told me, you've made it when you have your own subreddit. So I guess that's the deal. But is there a guarantee? So we got two guarantees, guys. Guarantee number one, I believe in the program so much. We have actually, this was a 30-day initially. This is now a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you come into the program, now you have to do the work. This is a big caveat on this. And it's not a getcha. It's not a gotcha. It's not a bait and switch. You're not going to come in here and steal all my stuff. I have tens of thousands of dollars of value. So if you're going to come in here and tell me my program sucks, then you better do the work. So you have to come in here and do your meetings. You have to actually do your calls. You have to go to your existing clients. You have to meet with them. And we're going to prove this. It's in writing in our agreement. I'm not going to say that everybody that comes into this program succeeds because I can't control people. But here's what I can say. Everyone that comes in here and does the work sees the results. It's that simple. So if you come in here and do all the work in the first 90 days and you feel you'll see no ROI, it's not worth it, or maybe, Chris does suck, won't work in my market, whatever. And keep in mind, we have closed deals at $300 or $300 in whatever currency that they're in. So States, 300 US, Canadian, 300 Canadian, Australia, 300 Australian, UK. We've actually even done Nigeria. We've done South America. We've done all of the UK, $300 or whatever their currency is. And it's working in every single one of those countries. And we're doing this all over the world, even in places that people say we can't do it. I will give you your money back without question. Side note, this has never been requested. Not once. Again, not going to tell you that people haven't succeeded, but then they're like, oh, crap, I didn't do anything. I guess I can't get my money back. Sorry, that's part of the deal. It only works if you do the job. Added a second guarantee. If you participate in all the work and attend all the calls and do your first three, like literally do all the stuff, and you don't make at least $1,750 in your investment in additional MRR, I'll write you a check for $1,750. Again, never been requested. Because if they do the work, magically the program works. Shocking, right? It's amazing. Here's your URL. Okay, let me see if we got any questions. Would love to have you guys in the program. And Jason, yes, Jason said 1,000 leads included. It's 1,000 leads per month. It's actually, Michelle, I upped it. It's not.
You upped it? Oh, yeah, you should tell your CRO.
Well, we announced it last week on the Wednesday call.
Oh shoot! When I was on vacation,
you were not at. Yeah. So pow.
Okay.
pow. So yeah, it's 1,000 leads per month now. We've upped it. We built our own software called Clean Leads, and every elite member gets that. You also get an MSP website with Tech Rescue. You get Wisetrack. We use Wisetrack internally, guys. Like, it's a great product. We're very happy with it. Works really well. Oh yeah, Michelle's talking about Clean Leads here. Okay, let's see. My chat is not working. Hold on. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, I like this. So Michelle put this in here. I go on vacation for a week and look what's happened. Okay, guys. Well, I guess Michelle, it's time for our giveaway.
Chris, real quick, we have
Yeah.
one last question that I think should be addressed.
Yeah.
Let me grab it here real quick.
Yep. Fire away.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. I'm scrolling.
Yes, I am drinking a beer. I'm drinking a beer and a webinar.
Okay, so that's the first part. I'm jealous of the beer. Okay, so that's the first part of the question. And then the second part is best class MSPs are 18% profitable. So how much of that should we pay towards sales? So I think that's a really comprehensive set of questions that would wrap us up really nicely.
No, it's good. It's good questions and it's very applicable. I like it. Okay. Michelle, I'll let you start.
Okay, so I would like more detail on commission structure because you need quotas to keep them hungry. You need to keep that MRR percentage ticking to ensure they retain the client. And Star Salesperson needs to, okay, yes, 100%. So Russ, it would be difficult for me to tell you exactly what to do without looking at your business right now, because everyone's sales goals are going to be different based on the precedent and what your own growth goals are. So this is a tough question for me, but I want you to retrospectively think back of what. First of all, you figure out how much you're going to pay the salesperson. And that's going to be your next, I know that's the follow-up question. Once you know that, then how much do they need to sell for them to be happy and to you to be happy? Okay. So work backwards with those numbers. Then make sure it's realistic. Okay. So you don't want to bring someone in and tell them to go sell 10x than you've ever sold in your whole life, right? That just won't be realistic. So can you do a 20% increase, 20% increase per quarter, perhaps? Like I'm just throwing out numbers, but without knowing your business in detail and intimately know what the history is, it's difficult for me to answer that. Russ, if you're going to be in Denver, are you going to be in Denver by any chance? Because I'm happy to sit down with you with your actual numbers if you're coming to Denver, and you can catch me in the hallway and we can run this for you. But without the details of your business, this is a tough one for me. Chris, do you have anything that you can add on to?
I'll also, I agree with what Michelle's saying. I'll also say this is why you start with founder-led sales model. This is why you build yourself some type of a provable, scalable system. This is also why at that point you can start to figure out what your actual profitability numbers are. Because most MSPs, and Russ, I don't know you, so it's very hard to speak, but I'm going to tell you, probably 95% of MSPs that I see have no idea what their profitability. They're like, oh, I'm profitable. Okay. And then they actually say, here's where I'm at with a measuring stick that has nothing to do with any type of profit related to actual profitability because they don't measure their tech time at all. So here's what I'd recommend. This is self-serving, but okay, cool. That's great, Russ. Tell me where we met because I see a lot of people. I'm sorry if I don't recognize your name. But I don't know your system is what I mean. My recommendation is get into our elite program, run through the play for 180 days is what I'd recommend. Run through exactly what we tell you to do, which means we're going to go back to existing clients first. We're going to upgrade them. We're going to do that. We're going to build an entire system top to bottom, and you'll have that. It'll be completely done. It's built into it. And Michelle, if we're talking 6 months, it's $1,750 a month. What's the math on that? The cost of that alone, let's look at what that is. Think about how much a person is going to cost. So we got $1,750 times 6. So I'm telling you to spend $10,500 over the course of 6 months. That's like 3 months of salespeople money to get an entire system top to bottom that you can then, and you should be able to have a complete plug and play system, boom, to put somebody into. And then you can start to figure out where you sit around commission structure, profitability, because you're going to be tracking your numbers and you're going to know where you're sitting and you're going to know how profitable you are and you're going to know what your tech time looks like and you're going to know what your cost per tech is and you're going to know how much your brand new stack costs. And at the bottom line is you're going to know how profitable you are per seat along with per client. And then you can start to really determine how to pay the person the right way based on what Michelle likes, such as data versus.
Yeah. So I wish, yeah, exactly. I wish I could just give you the answer right now, Russ, but that would be really irresponsible of me. So, but I'm excited but I'm super excited you're going to be in Denver. So I'm looking forward to meeting with you.
Yeah. Awesome. That's going to be great. Okay, cool. Yeah. And Russ is going to be in Denver. So that's great. Awesome. Yeah. Come say hi, please. There was another question do we want me to answer, or we're going to good for prizes?
Nope. That's it. That was the one I wanted to make sure.
Let's get into prizes. So here's what we're going to do. We got two prizes. We got one $75 gift card. We got Jody with us today too. Jody K. Edwards is our marketing manager. So she's going to be monitoring the chat and monitoring all that kind of stuff as well. Hey, Jody. And Jody's coming to Denver too, right? I've never met Jody in person.
No, Jody's not coming to Denver, but Mo's
coming to Denver this time. Okay,
yes.
So Jody, next. You can come to San Antonio. And Jody's in Dallas, I think, so she can definitely come to San Antonio. I've never met her in person, which is kind of crazy. I've met most of my staff in person. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. $100 gift card, $70 gift card. First one, $75 gift card. Actually, we'll just do them both at the same time. What is one thing that you can take away from today's webinar that you can implement immediately in your MSP? And then I'm going to make Michelle pick the winners.
Do you remember what happened last time? This was really a struggle for me. There were so many good answers.
Yeah, well, okay, well, then I'll just take it over if I have to. No, throw that in the chat, guys. What did you win today? Like Russ just said, scaling operations is important. I think that was a response to my thing that I was talking about. What's one thing you learned today? Let's throw that in the chat, and then we're going to pick one of those chats. I'm going to set a little timer here, guys. I should play the Jeopardy music is what I should play.
Yeah, when I said that I wanted to hang out in Denver, YouTube said that I was scamming and wouldn't publish it. So insultive.
What?
I know.
Are you trying to hook up with our members, Michelle? Stop it.
What's going on? I'm spamming? Jeez. All right.
Michelle's trying to hook up. Now this is going to be the new management team rumor. Michelle is trying to hook up with members.
Don't start that rumor. That's bad. A bad one. All right, let's see here.
Good thing. Hey guys, it's a good thing I'm HR.
Pretty sure Paige took that on now, right? Okay.
Nope, she did not. I'm still HR. She's done. She's a lawyer. She can't HR at all.
Oh my God, I died.
Okay, I like this. Here's one from Russ. Okay, do not sell what you cannot deliver in service. I like that. This is from Lisa. A structured sales process prevents inefficiencies and missed opportunities for new hires. Luigi said, fix your sales process and ensure it's solid before going for a salesperson. Great job. Jeff said, build lead gen. Okay, let's keep them going here. There's a Reddit for Chris Sucks. It's Chris Weiser Sucks. You just Google it. I think you just go into Reddit and search it and you'll see. Sarah said, internal closers often have a better understanding. Jody said, we shall meet one day.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Here's a good one from S. Lee. Great webinar. I learned a lot from you, but my takeaway is when hiring, I should maintain my leadership by ensuring I hired for the right reasons and still manage the salesperson effectively. I like that. Here's another thing I'll tell you guys. These people have to be managed. We said this a couple times, but I cannot stress this enough. They absolutely, without question, have to be talked to, met with, cuddled every single damn day. They are high performers. The higher the performer means the higher maintenance. That's the reality of it. I'm sorry, but it's real. If you want high-performing salespeople, you are going to have to babysit them. Okay, there's our timer. And Michelle's back to hitting on our clients. Or maybe it's our staff. I don't know.
Salespeople love hugs.
Okay. All right. I'm throwing this in the private chat for my team.
Are you picking or am I picking? I can't remember.
I'll take a Jody pick. I just said Jody pick too.
Okay, Jody, fine.
Jody's got the list. Jody, let us know in the private chat what we got. This is from Tisnat. How do you? I don't. She was on onboarding this morning. I have no idea how to say her name. I'm really sorry. I feel really bad. I should have asked you this morning. We were talking this morning and I forgot to ask. Is it Tisnat? Did I say that wrong? I'm probably that's.
Sinat. I'm willing to bet the T is silent.
Sinat?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I'm good. I'm going to get the T is silent.
I'm terrible at that.
I'm going to
Okay.
keep it.
But she's a client, was on onboarding this morning. So that's good.
All right.
We got to pick two. Jody or Michelle, pick two.
I get a pick then. I don't see. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Okay, the first winner is, hold on. Wait, what happened? Shoot, hold on.
I guess I'm still drinking a beer.
So Russ is going to get, yeah, you are. So Russ for the 100.
Okay, Russ, congrats, buddy.
Wait, and then also, what was the other amount? I forgot what we're giving away.
75 on the second one.
Okay.
Michelle is massacring the shit out of this guy.
I know. Sorry. Jeff Seaman. I'm going to go with the next one, Jeff Seaman.
Jeff. Good to see you, buddy. Jeff is an active participant in all of our stuff, so that's great.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, guys. Here's what I need from you. I think Jody's got all your stuff because you registered for today. But Jody, can you confirm that we have emails for Jeff and Russ?
I don't know if she is hearing us because she's usually pretty responsive. I know we do. If they're here, we will.
If you're confident on that, I'm good.
Yep.
Okay, guys. My name, Sinat. Okay, so
I
did say it right. I did say it right. Like Sinatra. Okay, I did say it right. I said Sinat. That's good. Okay, cool. Thanks, Sinat. That's awesome.
All right.
I heard this morning on onboarding, so that's cool.
Okay,
guys. Thanks so much, Michelle. Great job as always. Appreciate you. We will be live in Denver in 1 week from today. Basically, we'll be going live next Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Very, very excited about that. If you cannot join us, please register at sevenfiguremspevents.com. We will be simulcasting all 3 days, but you have to register to show up for that. Amazing content. Super excited to be on stage. You guys can meet me. If you're going to be there in person, please come say hi. For Terpstra, my name is Chris Weiser, and we'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.